Now we'll have Corinna. Yep, there we go.
So you can see my screen? Perfect.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you also, thanks also to the speakers for this super interesting morning. Given the time, I will keep it short. I will present to you some news that have happened in the SARIL project, which stands for Sustainability and Resilience for Infrastructure and Logistics Networks. Just a second. Yeah. So just for those that don't know us, this is the SARIL consortium consisting of companies, universities, research organization, and Alice, all kinds distributed over Europe. And if you want to know more about us, just check our website. There has been quite some activity since the last webinar. Just to give you some impression, there has been more than just that, but we have been present at the Transport Research Arena, had a booth together with Remonet. We had a presentation at IPIC, and we had some papers and presentations at the SARIL conference, just to mention some of our activities. And we had a general assembly meeting in Norway, which was very intense and very interesting. Just to recap what the goals of our project are. So we have basically two main goals, which is to achieve a decision support system and concepts for resilient and sustainable logistics operations during disruptions. And the second one being the development of recommendations regarding disruption handling and green business models for logistics operations and authorities. In the last webinar, when we met here, we were about to advertise our first survey that has been already mentioned today. You will also soon read about our findings in our deliverable D1.3, which will be published on the website as soon as it's approved. Now we are on the way to our midterm, and we are focusing a lot on the tool development, and I will show you a bit more what that is. I will spend some time on this slide here. So in summary, we have identified 4 main stakeholder roles which we want to address with our developments, which is infrastructure management, traffic management, strategic logistics management, and operational logistics management. And we have 2 overarching innovations that we are aiming for, which is one, the disruption information interface. It's there to collect all kinds of information on disruption in a unified way to make it available to the stakeholders. And just to mention some, so there will be web scraping to collect information, AI-based methodologies. There will be satellite information, for example, on the forest fires, that will be all come together and collected in a uniform interface. Based on this, there will be traffic simulations to simulate the impact of certain disruptions. And this will be then used to provide decision support to either traffic management and infrastructure management. And on the other hand, we have the second overarching innovation in the project, which is the incorporation of synchromodal approaches in the decision making for multimodal transport. And here, on one hand, we are developing scenario simulations, which will enable us to understand and quantify how sustainable and resilient the system is under disruption, more on a strategic planning perspective. And on the other hand, we are developing a route attributes model, let's call it like this, that can be incorporated into existing route planning, because we assume that route planning is already there. Everyone that's doing logistics management has its route planning system in place, and we want to support this by adding information on the cost, using specific vehicle types, the cost, the fuel consumption, the emissions, etc., and the time of travel. And all of this together is then the toolkit that we are developing. And we apply this toolkit to several scenarios. We have 3 different scenarios on different scales. The first one is called the regional scenario, which is quite small scale, happening in the province of Mantua, considering flooding events, and on top of it, the unavailability of data, how to handle this. Then there is the national, or better to call it cross-border scenario in Portugal and Spain, which is like medium size, and it's about the prediction of risk of fire using satellite data, and also then to handle this and to quantify the impacts on the transport networks. And then finally, we have a more large-scale or global scenario where we look into real-time data availability, focusing more on large-scale, also disruptive events like the war and pandemic. Ongoing activities in these scenarios at the moment are the workshops. So after having completed the surveys, now we are looking more deeply into the scenarios with stakeholders in specific workshops. So the first one has happened already took place in Italy. Brief summary is that the stakeholders suggest to mitigate the impact of disruptions via improved communication and data sharing, something that we've heard this morning quite a lot. They also suggest to establish backup solutions if data is not available. And they suggest to promote policies and invest in training, so to be better prepared for disruptions. For the cross-border scenario, our workshop will take place in October in Spain, and another one for the EU-wide in Poland, which will take place in September. Just to summarize what I just told you very briefly, so we have the different scenarios. We have conducted interviews at the very beginning of the project, then the survey, which is completed, and now we are developing workshop. We are in the process of doing the workshops. We want to come to recommendations in the end, also using our tools and making our findings available to stakeholders. And the recommendations are focusing and are meant to develop business models balancing cost-efficient, green and resilient operations. They are also there for regulatory measures that make green solutions more attractive. And the aim is to achieve resilience by design, both regarding infrastructure and logistics operations. With this, I want to thank you for your attention. And if you want to learn more, because I had to now have it very brief, if you want to learn more, just get in touch. Thank you.